The president tweeted out this morning that he disagrees with CDC guidelines on reopening schools, calling them tough and expensive. And he says that the CDC is asking schools to do very impractical things. He's also now threatening schools nationwide that he'll try to cut funding if they refuse to reopen on time. Here's how he put it yesterday.
The schools will be open in the fall, and we hope that most schools are going to be open. We don't want people to make political statements or do it for political reasons. They think it's going to be good for them politically, so they keep the schools closed. No way. So we're very much going to put pressure on governors and everybody else to open the schools.
Everyone agrees getting kids back in school is hugely important and a top priority. But how to do that when there are now rising cases in 35 states is a puzzle no school administrator has yet to figure out. Joining me now is the former Secretary of Education under President Obama, Arne Duncan, to talk about this. Secretary, thanks for coming back in. First and foremost, I just want where your head is right now. And do you think schools can open in the fall?
Well, Trump has been just catastrophic in his leadership and has made himself totally irrelevant in this conversation because of what the federal government hasn't done. Everybody, every educator, every parent, myself as a parent, we all want our kids to go back to school, but we can only do that if it's safe to do so. And we as a nation simply have failed to do the things that would make our schools and our communities safer. And so what we have to do now in the month of July is make those small sacrifices to give our children a chance to go back to school physically in the fall. We have to wear masks. We have to stay away from the beaches. We have to stay out of the bars. We have to not do the indoor dining. And if we're not willing to do that, we're going to rob our children of a tremendous opportunity. I desperately want us to go back to school this summer, to start now and make up for the loss of learning during COVID. But we as a nation simply haven't done those things that other nations have done. That has cost us, unfortunately, thousands and thousands of lives, and is now costing our children really important learning and social and academic opportunities.
You would be the one person, one among few, who would know this very specifically. Can the President of the United States cut funding to schools nationwide?
No, and again, he just bullies, he threatens, and the truth of the matter is, very little money for K-12 comes from the federal government. I wish they were really investing. They didn't put any real money into the stimulus package, and so he may try and bully or bluster. Everybody wants to go back to school. We have to do it in a way that's safe. I think most schools will probably try and open in a hybrid situation, with certain children going, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, maybe Saturday, maybe morning shifts, maybe afternoon shifts. This is going to be very, very complicated and complex. There'll be certain children where it's not safe for them to go to school at all because they're living at home, maybe with a grandmother or grandfather that's very much at risk. So we're going to have to accommodate their learning at home. There may be certain teachers who can't teach. And the flip side of that, it can't teach in a physical environment, we're gonna have to teach virtually, but you also may have certain children who their mom or dad may be an essential worker where they need to be in school every single day because it's not safe for them to be at home. And so we're gonna have to think through all this stuff, community by community, school by school, grade by grade, and do it with an unbelievable level of thoughtfulness and compassion.
It is, what you just laid out is just even a slice of it, right? Just the schedule of it. It is complicated. It is complex. It is different school district from school district, school to school even. It is not an insurmountable challenge. School administrators can do this. Teachers can do this if they are allowed to put their heads together to do this. But I'm also wondering, when you hear the president criticize CDC guidelines of safe reopening, calling them expensive, can you make this complicated strategy work with less money, without more money?
Well, folks have called for a huge influx of resources. And again, the president just is just fundamentally dishonest, disingenuous, has lost all credibility on this issue a long time ago when he said everything would be open by Easter, when he was telling people to take Lysol, when he said this thing would magically disappear. So no one trusts him, no one's paying him any attention. But to your point, Superintendents are working on this unbelievably hard, are working this together in a thoughtful way. Everyone's helping each other. But yes, the federal government must invest in education. We have to be safe. We have to have masks. We have to have the ability to test frequently. We may have to put in place, plexiglass shields around desks. Hallways are going to change. Food, everything's going to be different, unfortunately. But I keep saying this is going to be one fall, just one fall. We have to do this the right way for our kids, for our teachers, for our principals, for our parents at home. This is our common humanity. It's never been so clear, hopefully. And unless we're willing to do the right thing, we're going to rob our children.
But I will say this, though. You've said that he is irrelevant. He's kind of made himself irrelevant in this conversation. But people are still paying attention to what the president is saying. I'm hearing from mayors that the messaging coming from the president is hurting their efforts, not helping, because it is confusing. So what is your advice, then, to the governors, to state education commissioners? Are you saying ignore the president and go it alone?
No, they're not going alone. They're working together. And again, the leadership at the local and state level has been fantastic. But if anyone is listening to the president on this issue, they're doing it at great peril to themselves and their community. And as I talk to school superintendents around the country, as I talk to principals, as I talk to state school chief officers, no one's paying any attention to what he's saying. They're trying to actually problem solve at a level of complexity and detail and honesty that he has no interest in.
We have so many more. I have so many more questions of things I'd like to go over with you, Secretary. Let's continue this discussion. This is the preeminent important topic to be discussing in the coming weeks as we head towards the possible reopening of some schools in the fall. How to do it safely, how to get it right. You can really, as you said, just like we saw with many communities, but especially with schools, you've got one chance to get this one right for the safety and health of our students, our kids, and the teachers who are standing at the front of the class. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for the opportunity.